Fantastic. Well, thank you, Jennifer, so much for hosting this and for welcoming us. And thank you, everybody, for jumping on. My name is Michelle Taglamonte,
And I'm Wendy McLawn.
and I am a certified health coach, and I've been a partner with the Juice Plus Company for 22 years. Actually, yeah, 22, 23, something like that. I've been in the wellness community for 24 years. And my journey started when my girls were very little, and we just needed help with our immune systems. And so what you're going to learn tonight is going to be something that's going to kind of take things to the next level with your immune system. We're going to talk a lot about the benefits of fermented foods, and we're going to talk about fermenting pickles because it's a very approachable and easy fermented food to make for yourself. So when I first learned about all this, though, like I said, our immune systems were terrible. I had two toddlers, and I was desperately seeking something that I could do to make myself healthier, my husband healthier, and our little girls healthier. And finding Juice Plus was a godsend for us. I literally went on a mission trying to find it and didn't know what I was looking for until I found it. And it made all the difference in the world for us. And since then, I became a certified health coach. I wasn't anything in the nutrition industry back then. I was working in a wireless company, but this fueled a passion in me. And being a part of this community and being able to share this with other people and make a difference in their health has just been so rewarding for me. And that's why I'm so excited to be able to be here tonight to share this with all of you. And I'd love for you to share too, Wendy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've been eating and sharing Juice Plus for 20 years myself. And what I can tell you is that I was healthy when I got started, but Juice Plus was just common sense backed by science for me. And I wanted to be proactive with my family health legacy. You know, I had a huge family health legacy of cancer. And while we have no guarantees that we could prevent or cure anything, it just gave me peace of mind that I was doing something proactively myself that was in my control. And so I can tell you, though, that I am healthier now at 60 than I was at 40 when I started this. And I have all the energy to keep up with my grandkids, which is really fun.
That's awesome. And so no matter where you are on the spectrum, if you're sick, if you're fighting illness, if you're healthy, you're going to experience benefits. So tonight is about adding another step to your journey, right? Something that I really have honestly only kind of started dabbling in over the course of the last couple of years. And I'm going to share with you my very first thing that I dabbled in here in a minute. But let's talk a little bit, first of all, about the microbiome, because when we're talking fermented foods, we're talking about feeding the microbiome. And the microbiome is your intestinal bacteria. Thank you. You know what, you guys?
Hey, tell her to slow down. We're like,
we both talk really fast. So we're gonna nudge each other every once in a while to slow down a little bit, right? Okay, so your microbiome is your gut bacteria. And it is trillions of cells that cover every external surface of your body, including the external surfaces of your intestines, your fingertips, the tips of your toes. I mean, everything from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, you have these little microbiome. We like to call them gut bugs, right? Okay, but they're not just in our gut, obviously, right? And we're covered in trillions of them, and they're invisible. And they outnumber our human cells. So that kind of freaked me out the first time I heard it. But for every human cell we have, there are 10 microbes in our body. So we are literally 90% microbes and 10% human cells. Okay, you don't have to take my word for that. We're going to actually talk to you about a doctor that's written a book that you can read about this from him. But the bottom line is we got to keep these little guys healthy because they keep us healthy. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight with our fermented foods. So this is a way, but I want Wendy to talk a little bit more about the best way to feed your gut bugs and make sure your microbiome is healthy.
absolutely. Well, the best way to feed your gut and to keep it healthy is with fruits and vegetables. And if everybody just holds up their fist, that is a serving size. And you are to have 7 to 13 servings every single day. So at 7 to 13, it's every day. And you want that variety. You want at least 6 different colors in your diet every day, because those different colors represent different phytonutrients, which go to different organ systems to keep you healthy. Now, here's the good news. With Juice Plus, you get 30 different fruits and vegetables every single day. And what's amazing with that is that it is just food. You will notice it has a food label on it. Here's even better news. Michelle referred to a book. It's Fiber Fueled. You'll want to take note of this. It's by Dr. Bean. We like to refer to him because his name is too hard to pronounce. And Fiber Fueled is
also is.
Yeah, it's amazing. He recommends that you get 30 different fruits and vegetables a week. Well, with Juice Plus, you get them every single day. What's really nice about this book is it also has a cookbook with it. You're going to want to pick this up. The recipes are so delicious and they're so simple. It even inspired my husband to cook, which was a plus. So definitely want to pick up that cookbook for yourself. So, Michelle, what else do you like to do for your gut health besides the fruits and veggies?
Well, so first of all, let me just share this with you. Why is fermented food so important? Okay, so obviously we talked about the microbiome. When we eat fermented food, we are increasing the diversity of our gut bugs because what we eat feeds the gut bugs and they multiply based on the diversity of the food. So Wendy just talked about 30 different fruits and vegetables in Juice Plus. You know, there's things in Juice Plus that are not in Juice Plus that we eat, things like squash and strawberries. And, you know, so now we're adding those things and we're getting an even bigger variety. So we're creating more microbiome diversity. Really, really important. But fermentation adds to that. Fermentation is actually an ancient process of preserving food. And there's so many cool things that happen when you ferment food. Fermentation basically has been lost. Like we don't do that much anymore. I'm starting to see a wave of it coming back, right? We're doing more fermentation now. We're going to talk about a couple of different things that we do with different types of fermented foods. But what it does is it actually creates more polyphenols from the fruits and vegetables that we eat. It makes more vitamins and minerals in our foods. It reduces gluten. It actually makes our food easier to digest. For those of you who are on a FODMAP diet, FODMAPs are sugars that can cause IBS in some people. And so it reduces the FODMAPs in our food when we ferment it, which makes our food easier to digest. It actually also reduces the pesticide residue in foods. And it's just more nutritious. So we got cucumbers here, and they're going to be more nutritious after we pickle them. Isn't that amazing? So eating fermented foods increases our microbiome diversity. It gives benefit to the immune system, and it reduces inflammatory markers. Okay. So we've gone on a journey with fermented foods, and we're going to tell you a little bit about some of them. What's your favorite one that you started with?
Well, there's a couple of things that I like to do. And if you're familiar with our Shred 10 program, that's basically a journey to jumpstart your health, where you add in more good and you help eliminate things like coffee, alcohol, and sugars, and gluten, of course. Well, sometimes that coffee can be hard to give up. And so one of my hacks that I started with was adding apple cider vinegar first thing in the morning. Now you want to look for the apple cider vinegar that says with the mother, because that means it has the fermentation, which is going to give you the pre and probiotics that are so great for your gut health. I simply put a tablespoon of this in about 16 ounces of water, and I will just drink it right before I would have normally had my coffee. And it changes your taste buds. That coffee then just doesn't even really sound good to you. And so it's easier for me to resist that cup of joe in the morning. So some people like to cut it with the real cranberry juice and or some lemon juice with it. And so that's a great way to add it into your nutrition as well. And then you've probably heard of the craze of sourdough lately. Sourdough is all the rage. I mean, who doesn't love a good piece of bread, right?
Love bread.
But why is sourdough so good? Even people that are gluten intolerant have been known to be able to eat the sourdough bread because the fermentation in sourdough eats away at the gluten. It has more pre and probiotics in it as well, and it's lower in sugar. This is really important because just a couple of teaspoons of sugar can reduce your immune system by 50% for about 4 or 5 hours. So you definitely want to make sure you're having a low sugar diet. The problem is a lot of the breads that we buy in the store, even the sourdoughs, they're injected with things to make them taste more sour, right? So you want to make your own, and it's a really simple way to just get that good, healthy bread in your belly if you're going to eat bread. So yeah.
Okay, so sourdough bread, though, requires that you have a sourdough mother. Not everybody's got a sourdough mother, right? Okay, I'm going to tell you about another thing that requires something because I want to just tell you about this. It's called kombucha. How many people out there like kombucha? How many of you have ever made kombucha? So this is something I learned about from another one of my buddies in this community. And kombucha is basically you start with tea and sugar, and you put in a SCOBY. And SCOBY, I don't know if you can see this, but this has been fermenting for a little while. So I've got the old SCOBY down here and the new SCOBY that's forming up here on top.
It looks a little gross, to be honest with you.
And I'm going to tell you what, you guys, the first time I touched one of this, I was so weirded out because SCOBY actually stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. So who wants to touch that? Not very many people, but it's so good when you make it. And I can add lemon and ginger and all that stuff. But so here's the deal. Kombucha and sourdough both start with something that you need to have for the bacterial culture. And that's not as simple as what we're going to talk about tonight. One thing I want to share with you is you don't have to make your own kombucha to enjoy.
I'm not going to be making my own kombucha. I'll tell you that right now. I can only do so many things in the kitchen at once, but I love to just get this brand, but you know, not all kombuchas are created equally. So do your own homework, but this one is lower in sugar than most. And it also has 9 billion living probiotics. So this is one of my favorites. And as I mentioned on the shred, you try to eliminate or reduce alcohol. This is one of my little hacks for that. It's so good. It's fermented, so it kind of tastes like you're drinking alcohol. I like to pour it in my little wine glass and just pretend that I'm having a cocktail. And it's one of the ways that I help eliminate alcohol when I don't want to be drinking that. So
that's awesome. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to share with you is kimchi. So kimchi and sauerkraut. And you know, these are pretty, I don't know about kimchi. I've never made kimchi. I've made sauerkraut before. It's not hard to make. I don't love it though. I will admit to you right now that I've made sauerkraut and I never ate it. I couldn't bring myself to eat it. So
it's the best. I love that.
Well, people either love it or they don't, right? I'm learning how to love it. And I do like kimchi. Kimchi's a little bit more, I don't know, just got a different flavor to it than sauerkraut does to me. But that's why I love the pickles, because the pickles are very approachable, right? Who doesn't love a good pickle? You can put a pickle on your burger if you want to. I actually chopped up some of my pickles and made pickle relish. So you can do all kinds of different things with your pickles. The recipes that we're going to share with you tonight, we're going to share 2. They're very simple. Okay.
So simple.
So let's make pickles. All right.
Absolutely.
So we're going to walk through 2 recipes with you. And the very first thing that you're going to do, I know somebody asked if you needed to boil water. You don't need to boil water. And if you're just starting right now and you're doing this right alongside of us, do not worry if your salt doesn't completely dissolve in your water. But what you're going to do is start with 4 cups of filtered water. And you can see my water looks a little pink because I'm using pink Himalayan salt. All right. You do not want to use iodized table salt for this. All right. The iodine and the other chemicals in table salt is just very processed. You want a real sea salt. Okay. Because the bacteria and the cultures are not going to like the chemicals in that salt. So very first thing I did was poured myself 4 cups of water and I added 3 tablespoons of pink Himalayan salt. And I just stirred it up a little bit and it's been sitting here for a little while. So it's dissolved now. Okay.
So this is a brine compared to like boiling.
Exactly. You're not going to, you don't need to boil it, and you're not going to use any vinegar. There's no vinegar in fermented pickles. Okay.
So these are different than your, classic pickles you would buy at the store.
Right. Good sea salt. You can use any kind of good sea salt that's natural salt that has all the regular minerals in it. Okay. All right. So first thing you're going to do is cut up your cucumbers. All right.
Show the kind of cucumbers that I got.
So I buy these little guys at my Kroger. All right. They sell them in the organic section. They come in a bag and they're just small cucumbers. All right. For those of you who have tower gardens or know about the tower garden, you can actually grow pickling cucumbers on your tower garden if you want to. I'm going to definitely do that this summer. But you're going to start with these. Okay. And there are some stores, maybe Whole Foods and other places, that will actually let you pick your own, like select your own cucumbers. These come in a bag with maybe, I don't know, 6 or 8 cucumbers in them. You want to try to get them as close in size as you possibly can so that they go into your jar. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find the stem end. Okay. And you're just going to slice off about a 1/16 of an inch, just barely cut the end off, because there's something about this is where the flower of the stem end is. And it is going to release a chemical that makes the pickle get soft if you don't cut that off. Don't ask me. I have no idea why, but it works. Okay. So put those in the jar and you'll see Wendy's kind of just tipping the jar over to the side. We're using a wide mouth quart jar. You can use whatever size you want, however many pickles you want, but this is perfect. This one here is going to make 7 pickles or so. I think.
Yeah, you want to get them packed in there pretty tight, because the more pickles, the better.
Right. Well, and the other thing too about packing them in nice and tight is when you put your brine in, you want to keep your pickles underneath the water level, underneath the brine level, right? So if there's not enough in there, they're going to flip up, they're going to float up to the top. And we'll talk a little bit about how to prevent that here in a minute. Okay. So you've got your cucumber sliced and they're in the jar. And then we're going to start with the garlic dill pickles. Super simple, okay? So first thing I want to tell you about a little hack I found, and actually I have a shout out to my brother-in-law. I'm not sure if he's watching this or not, but again, at Kroger, pre-peeled whole clove of garlic, and they're in little pouches like this.
They're vacuum packed, so
Yeah.
they're nice and fresh when you open them.
Yeah.
You can smell the garlic. I had them in my car today and my car smelled like garlic. So
Yeah.
they are really fresh.
So you want to dump those in there
Yeah,
for me? Now,
we're
I don't know
just
how many are in there. I happen to love garlic. I'm Italian. I love garlic. So this recipe calls for maybe 4 or 5 garlic cloves. I double it. Doesn't matter. Okay. This is also a matter of your preference and your taste. Okay. So stick them down in there and make sure they get in. If you want to use a regular whole clove of garlic, because you can't find these at your store, you're just going to want to pull away each of the little garlic cloves and get the skin off of them. Okay. You can mince them if you want to. You can slice them if you want to. You don't have to. All right. I like to make this as simple as possible. And there's a ton of different varieties that you can find and different ways that you can do these. Okay. So that's your pickles. Now we're going to do dill. All right. And again, fresh organic dill at the grocery store. Again, if you have a tower garden, I grow dill on mine outside in the summer. I don't know why I haven't done it inside. I don't have any on my tower garden right now, and you're just going to chop off the major part of the stem and put a handful in there. And I'd like for you to put a little bit more in there because I really, really like the dill. Okay. The other thing that you can do is, all right, well,
in here. We're going to just be jamming it down.
Shove it in there. Shove it in there. Here, put a few more in there. And then if you want, you guys, you can even add dill seeds. And you can buy these in the spice aisle. I think I might have even got these on Amazon, believe it or not. And these are the same kind of dill seeds I'll plant dill with. But a tablespoon of those, you can add those in too if you want to add a little bit more dill flavor. Sorry, we forgot to open up the bottle.
There you go. So just like a handful of them, you just throw them in there.
Yep. Okay. The other thing you're going to want to add is a bay leaf or 2. And this does another thing that I can't really understand. They also say you can use a grape leaf or an oak leaf, but I like bay leaves. It keeps your pickles crispy. So Wendy's going to add a couple of those in there. And just kind of slide them down there on the edge. Yep, perfect. And then I like a few black peppercorns in mine. So just a little, a little handful, however many you want to put in. And just pop those in there, okay?
There we go.
You notice I'm not doing a ton of measuring, all right? The salt, somebody's asking about the salt. You're gonna do 4 cups of filtered water. Make sure your water's filtered if possible. And 3 tablespoons of salt for your brine, all right? And this is where we're gonna use the brine. So that's it's just simply salt water, okay? And we're just gonna pour it in there until it covers the pickles. All the way up to the top. You want to hold that up real quick so they can see that?
So you can see that it's all the way up to the top.
And my pickles are submerged. Now, there's a couple things you can do. There's all kinds of different canning equipment out there. There's canning weights that you can put on top of your pickles to make sure that they stay submerged. I've actually used this little spring before. This is literally made for canning or for making sauerkraut because you really want to push the cabbage down inside the jar. This also works for the pickles. And when you put the lid on, it just literally squishes down and holds the pickles under the brine while they ferment. All right. So if you get it nice and covered like that, really full, you're fine.
We didn't need any of those special tools because we were so packed in here and they were just the right height of pickles.
So many pickles in there. We don't even buy weight.
How about that burping lid? There's some special lids sometimes that you have with these. Yeah.
If you go out to the store, so this came as a set. So it was a jar like this. That little guy in there and this special lid. And I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can see there's a little round disc on there. This is what they call a self-burping lid. Again, for this process, not necessary because you're only going to ferment these for 4 days. And I'll come back to that in a second. But if you're going to make anything that you're going to ferment longer, this is really great because with some fermenting foods, you want to unscrew the lid and burp it every once in a while to get some of the excess gases out. Okay.
So just a couple things. We did not slice the pickles. If you could slice them up like a dill chip if you want to, but they get softer. So we recommend that you don't slice them and you just slice off that little end that the stem grew off of. Otherwise, they'll get soft as well. But put them in whole. And then we didn't use any special jars. We didn't use any special tools because we were able to just use this jar with the basic lid because we had them packed in so tight with the salt water.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And so something that's a little different than, for example,
quart size.
kombucha and some of those other things, you're covering your lid, you're covering your fermenting food with something like a coffee filter or whatever. This, you're actually sealing the lid up. All right. And you're just going to leave this on your kitchen counter for about 4 days. You'll know that it's ready to go, that it's fermenting when you see little bubbles around the edges of your brine. Okay. When you see those little bubbles, you've got fermented pickles. Okay. So 4 days, if you don't see any bubbles, leave it there for another day or two and just keep watching it. They're not going to be giant bubbles. It's not going to be anything astounding. Sometimes, especially if you've got it filled up really high, you might have to open up the jar to see the bubbles. But when you see them, you'll know that they're done. Okay. They're ready to eat. You can pull one out and eat it right that minute, or you can stick them in your fridge and get them nice and cold first if you want to. Okay.
Now you could leave them on the counter longer.
You can.
Yeah. But
Yep.
it will typically be about 4 days when they're ready.
Yeah. And you see these are beautiful and nice and fresh and green. And I'm going to show you a finished jar here in a little bit. We're going to taste it and show you how delicious they are. But they don't stay that fresh. They're going to darken up just like a pickle. Like if you buy pickles in the grocery store, they're darker, right? So you just put a regular lid back on. So this is just the regular lid with the ring and the disc, and you're just going to put it right on there. And once they're done, you can put them in the refrigerator and just enjoy them. And you can keep them in there for a month or two if you want to. So it doesn't matter. Like this batch right
They probably
here,
won't last that long. They're so
they're so good. You're not gonna, I mean, if you're eating them, and
Yeah.
this is the thing, you're eating fermented foods, you adding them to your diet, have a pickle a day. Chop up some and put them in your tuna salad as pickle relish or on a sandwich or whatever, okay?
Yeah.
But yes, they will keep for a while.
So anybody like spicy pickles? Let's make some spicy pickles. Yes. Here we go.
Next recipe is called spicy lacto fermented pickles. And the lacto does not mean milk. It means lactobacillus acidophilus. That's one of the bacteria that is formed when we ferment, okay? So we already have the pickles in the jar. We started this one ahead, so we wouldn't have to spend the time sticking them in there, but you're gonna have 2 in there, okay? All right, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of tamari. Now this is a low sodium organic tamari. So we're adding 1 tablespoon of that.
Go.
It's just a different flavor profile. That's all this is. There's nothing,
It's really about the same process. It's just different ingredients.
It's just different ingredients. Okay, we're gonna have 1 tablespoon of pure maple syrup. What happened to our maple syrup?
It's right here.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Now make sure this is pure maple syrup. Please don't use the Aunt Jemima or the stuff that's just like high fructose corn syrup or whatever. Make sure it's pure maple syrup.
Yeah.
The minerals in that are going to be really good for it. And that'll be really good. Okay, now we're going to slice up 1 or 2 jalapenos. These jalapenos, again, came off my tower garden. I froze them. I love chopping up and using them as I wish. They're so amazingly good. So slice up a jalapeno.
And all those good spices are so good for you.
Yep.
Okay, we got the jalapeno in there. Next.
And 1 tablespoon of fresh minced ginger.
There we go.
Okay. Now, same thing. We're going to slip a bay leaf down there. Let me grab 1. I got 2. Go ahead, stick 2 down there. Down the side of the jar.
Good to go.
Okay. Right. Oh, we didn't put any garlic. You got to have garlic. Okay.
There you go.
Again.
Well, how about fresh dill too?
4 to 5
we're
cloves of garlic.
The dill on that
There's
one.
no dill in that one.
Just the garlic.
Yep. Here we go. So drop those in there.
Right.
So no dill. Oh,
I lost the garlic.
right. Again,
Garlic
you know what, you
olives.
guys, I love garlic. My recipe calls for 4 to 5 garlic cloves. I think we
For this
probably
one
got
too, yeah.
10
it's
in
the same.
here. Okay, so it's totally fine. You do to your taste. And if there's anything that you're allergic to,
Or like if you don't like jalapenos, you don't have to put
Yeah.
as much in if they're
Right.
it's too spicy for you or something.
yep, it's a matter of personal preference and taste.
Yeah.
What makes the magic is this saltwater brine. And again, what I've done is I've made a mixture, and I keep, like, if I've got anything left over, I'll pour it in a jar and just keep it in the refrigerator for the next time I make my pickles. And we're going to cover this again all the way to the top. Let me get a little more in there. Okay,
Perfect.
yep. You know, you can add other ingredients too. I've made pickles with fresh onion sliced in there. I've ground up or chopped up fresh turmeric root. I've done caraway seeds, coriander seeds, celery seeds, fennel seeds, mustard seeds, and even little red chili peppers, which is actually added when it's added to this jalapeno one. It's really, really good. So
Yeah.
you can add whatever you like to make the recipe more fun to your taste. But the key is, again, you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna leave this on your counter for four or 5 days, something like that, 4 days, so you see the bubbles, okay? If your brine gets cloudy, no worries, okay? It just means things are breaking down and it's fermenting, okay? So just be laid back about it. This is a simple process and anyway, okay.
Let's show them what the pickles look like after they've been sitting there for.
So you can see this is a nice cloudy brine, and there's all my garlic cloves down at the bottom, and I've got peppercorns and dill and what else is in there? I think that's it.
That's just the regular dill ones. Yeah, that's the simple dill ones.
Okay, so
I'm ready to taste a pickle. They smell amazing. You just
they do smell amazing.
Everybody needs a pickle, right?
Yeah, grab one.
Okay.
Okay.
Want one?
And look, that's all squashed because I had that spring on top of it when I first put it on, but that's okay.
Okay, so here we go.
Ready?
Happy
Cheers.
pickle eating. Hope you like the pickle party. Night.
So good.